Hey everyone, and welcome. We asked subscribers just like you to submit their replays to have them reviewed by our Challenger expert. In this guide, we'll be breaking down exactly what these junglers are doing wrong in Season 10. The best part, these will be specific to each elo bracket. So let's jump straight into it, starting with a replay from Gold Elo with Rengar against Xin Zhao. The game begins with an early invade, where Rengar is able to get first blood on the enemy Fiora. However, just as important is that the enemy Xayah used both their summoner spells, Flash and Heal, to escape. Shortly after, they're able to get another kill on the enemy Xin Zhao. So Rengar has a fantastic start, and is beginning his route in the enemy's jungle starting at their red. This may seem a bit confusing, but by following simple principles we can identify where we should go next. First, remember that when we invaded, the enemy Xayah used both of her summoner spells. So we're going to be wanting to path towards that lane. And how do we do that? Well, we take the enemy's red, then their raptors, and then their Krugs. As you take the Krugs, you'll be hovering near the bot side of the map, and will hit level 3 once you've killed them. With this level 3, we can then look for a gank on the flashless Xayah. If no, will spawn bot side. Again, after this, we can look for another gank bot lane. So you'll be farming efficiently, while constantly being ready to gank the lane. In this game, Rengar takes the enemy's red, then transition ganks mid, with plans to attack the enemy's blue buff. There are a couple of problems with this. First, when you move through mid, you're revealing yourself on the map, which will let the enemy team know your intentions to invade the enemy's blue. Second, if we check our lanes, we do have lane priority mid, but lack lane priority top. So Fiora can respond before our Illaoi to help defend the blue buff. Overall, I wouldn't go so far as to say this is a bad decision, but it's far riskier than just playing around the flashless Xayah bot. For whatever reason, a level 1 Xin Zhao decides to try and fight you, which you end up winning. For those wondering what Xin Zhao should have done, well, he saw you rotating to invade his blue when you crossed through mid. He could have just warded his blue if he had one, and in the meantime do his wolves while pinging for assistance. If Fiora then rotated from top, great, Xin Zhao can look to collapse on his blue to kill Rengar, who by the way doesn't have flash since he used it on the invade. Essentially, if his team responds, great, Xin Zhao can defend his blue. If not, do your wolves, then transition to the enemy's blue buff to equalize the position. So as you can see, this invade by Rengar is by no means guaranteed to be successful, but since it's gold solo queue, Xin Zhao instant a kill. Rengar picks up the blue buff afterwards, and then has to recall since he's so low on health. Now, Rengar has to decide where to go as he's leaving the base. Keep in mind that Rengar is still level 2 and is actually behind in levels despite being involved in 3 early kills. This is because killing level 1 champions literally gives 35 experience, which is terrible. Rengar is going to want to focus on farming, looking to secure his 2 buffs that are alive along with at least 1 scuttle that's alive. Now despite Rengar being behind in experience, he's ahead in gold, and his goal should be to farm enough to get his Tiamat spike, which allows him to farm camps a lot faster. As he's moving to his blue, his bot lane dies 2v2, and he spots the enemy's Xin Zhao gank bot lane. This is actually a great opportunity for Rengar to get a massive lead on Xin Zhao. You see, Xin Zhao wasted a ton of time ganking bot lane without getting a kill, and he's already super behind in experience. Rengar can quickly grab his blue buff to hit level 3, which will give him access to his E ability, which he can then use to root the nearby scuttle that spawned. For those that don't know, hard crowd controlling a scuttle reduces its resistances by 50, making them harder to kill. Since Xin Zhao revealed himself on this side of the map and is still only level 2, Rengar can take the scuttle, then transition gank mid, and secure the top scuttle. This denies both scuttles from Xin Zhao, after which he can take his red if he needs extra gold for his Tiamat, or just recall immediately to purchase it if he can. Once he gets his Tiamat, he can truly take over Xin Zhao, farming his jungle so much faster than Xin Zhao is capable of, while already being ahead in levels in gold. Instead, Rengar looks to try and make a play bot side, where he just ends up wasting his time. This is one of the most common mistakes we saw gold players make. They didn't value their time enough, and were constantly playing way too aggressive, trying to make ganks work, instead of just farming efficiently and getting a lead that way. Afterwards, he looks to soak a wave mid, and then randomly catches a level 2 Xin Zhao trying to invade his red, picking up an easy kill. Unfortunately, then dying to the Fizz that rotated. Still, not that bad, he trades kills and now has enough gold to purchase his Tiamat. As he respawns, he has to decide where to go next. Well, in this case, there are a couple of different concepts at play. Rengar typically wants to farm in the early game to hit level 6 as fast as possible, as this is when he can finally gank with his ultimate. Before then, his ganks are pretty weak. On top of this, Rengar can have great scaling. With his team ahead, there's no real sense of urgency for Rengar. With now having a Tiamat, he should be looking to full clear his jungle and looking to gank at the end of his route. In this case, he's going to want to head to his Krugs. This way he's pathing towards the bottom side of the map where the dragon has spawned. Instead, what do we see? Rengar heads to his blue, takes his Gromp next, and then reacts mid to try and land a gank. We can see Fizz has more than half his health and is 2 levels ahead of Rengar. You definitely don't want to react to this and instead need to commit to full clearing and leverage your Tiamat spike. After this, he then heads to the opponent's red since he knows it just respawned. Again, this invade is super risky. We have to take lane priority into consideration. Yes, Rengar has lane priority bot, but his Fizz has lane priority mid since Viktor isn't in lane. There's no need to take these kinds of risks, considering you could just be full clearing your jungle, getting a massive lead using your Tiamat spike. We can see just how much time he's committing to this red side invade. Then afterwards, Rengar transition ganks mid, looking to steal the enemy's blue afterwards. You have to understand that yes, you're stealing the enemy's buffs, but while you're doing this, you're spending a ton of time simply moving to these areas of the map. Compare this to if you're farming your own jungle. Each camp is right next to each other and you'll be getting so much more farm relative to the time you're spending. And after taking blue, we can see Rengar again, heading back to mid, reacting to a fight there, not getting anything out of it. I just want to put this into perspective, because I know how easy it is to lose track of time when you're actually playing the game. Rengar just farmed 2 camps over the course of 2 minutes and 40 seconds. With his Tiamat, he could easily farm 5 camps in 1 minute. Which means in this time, at the very minimum, he would have farmed 10 camps if he had just full cleared with his Tiamat, instead he only killed 2. At this point of the game, a kill would be worth around 2.5 camps of golden experience. That means Rengar would have had to pick up at least 3 kills during this time just to make up for all the golden experience he's wasting for not farming his camps. And that's a huge problem with gold players, you're overcomplicating things. Your priority should be on farming efficiently and making your ganks work around efficient pathing. In the end, due to all the wasted time not farming his camps, Rengar runs into a level 5 Xin Zhao and dies to him 1v1, showing how he squandered his lead by playing too aggressive and trying to force plays. Alright, now let's take it up a notch and head into Platinum Elo with Olaf against Shaco. Olaf starts the game using the ward trick we've taught you before, placing a trinket ward on the enemy's raptors, recalling, and swapping to a sweeping lens. Absolutely love to see this, there's no reason not to use the ward trick in your games, gives you early vision, while also providing you with a sweeping lens to use on your first gank. Olaf then chooses to start it as blue. When choosing where to start, you typically want to start on the opposite side of the map you want to influence, pathing to that side. So with Olaf starting blue, he'll be looking to influence bot lane early. This makes sense. If we look at his lane matchups, he has an Urgot against Fiora top lane. Honestly, Urgot is pretty weak right now and won't be carrying the game. His bot lane is Jhin and Blitzcrank against Vayne Sona. Jhin and Blitzcrank provide a lot of crowd control to help set up his ganks, and Sona is squishy and lacks escapability, so it makes sense that the right choice would be to start at blue and looking to path towards the bot side of the map. After taking his blue, he then takes his Gromp, Wolves, Raptors, and as he's moving to his red, he spots Shaco gank bot. Now, something all junglers should be aware of is that Shaco often uses a very specific opening route with his boxes, where he can clear one side of his jungle quadrant really fast. This lets him hit level 3 quickly and then gank on the same side of the map that he started on. So when Shaco ganked bot, he was level 3 and only had his blue buff. This informs Olaf that Shaco's entire red side jungle quadrant is still alive. So he now has a decision to make. He can either immediately head back to the top side of the map, invading Shaco's jungle and stealing his camps, or he can respond to bot lane, looking to counter gank and clean up some kills. In this case, the enemy is overextended enough chasing Blitzcrank that Olaf is able to pick up a kill on Vayne and almost kill Shaco. But what I really want you guys to learn from this is how if Olaf didn't get a kill, he would have made a huge mistake, since he would have missed out on stealing Shaco's entire red side jungle. Yes, it's okay to react to fights like this, but you need to be more aware of what you're giving up when you do, and how you need to be more certain that you'll actually pick up a kill by reacting. Olaf then does a great job recognizing the wave is pushing towards his teammates, and instead of pushing the wave, helps set up a freeze for them. This will help deny minions from the enemy bot lane, and help his bot lane come back from the early Shaco gank. Additionally, it can set Olaf up to gank bot lane after his Krugs, since they'll be pushed up and use their summoner spells. Unfortunately, the enemy does a coordinated invade, killing Olaf at his Krugs. Honestly, I could spend a bunch of time analyzing this and what you should have done, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. This was just a rare moment where the enemy team makes a really good play. Sometimes you just have to tip your hat to the enemy for playing well and to focus on your next move. As Olaf respawns, he can assume his red is stolen too, and so he needs to head to his blue side jungle that's just respawned. While taking his Gromp, he notices Shaco ganking bot again. This is a huge mistake by Shaco, and it's similar to the last replay that we saw, where he's kind of throwing his lead by wasting a lot of his time. And this is actually a concept we've taught you guys a lot recently. When you spot the enemy jungler on the opposite side of the map, what should you do? Look for opportunities on the side of the map that you're on. In this case, we know Shaco's entire red side jungle is still alive, since he's been on the bot side of the map the entire game. Unfortunately, Olaf doesn't capitalize on this and instead takes the nearby scuttle, wasting time top, and then heading back into his own jungle. You definitely could have stolen at least the enemy's raptors and red buff, and then rotated to take the scuttle as you headed back into your own jungle. This is the proper way to truly punish enemy junglers for being inefficient with their time and failing ganks. Olaf then takes his wolves, raptors, and Krugs, which is a great change of pace from the gold replay. He's not trying to force anything, and there's nothing requiring his immediate attention on the map, so he full clears his jungle and then looks to gank after, which actually results in him picking up a kill on Vayne. Keep in mind, even if this gank didn't work, he wouldn't have lost anything, since he's ganking after he's full cleared his jungle. He then uses this kill to rotate and take the dragon, which is the correct call. After this, Diana is bot side calling for a 4-man tower dive, which ends up working out. However, what I really want to highlight is how you're staying for tower plates. Keep in mind, you just invested more time rotating for this tower dive, and you didn't actually get any kills or assists for yourself. Making the most out of your time investment by taking the tower plates is great, but what's not so great is how you leave instead of soaking a minion wave. It's okay to be selfish, think of it as a jungle tax. You wasted time reacting to this play bot side, but got nothing out of it. By taking a tower plate and soaking a minion wave, you help keep yourself afloat as a jungler. It's at this point you should be sitting on a decent amount of gold and would want to recall. Additionally, there's a few other concepts at play here. Take note of how your bot lane is recalling and is off the map. It's a great idea to match your recall timings with your laners after successful ganks in their lane. This way, you can spend all the gold you gained to get a tangible item advantage and then all be on the map together, so when they're in lane, you're able to gank for them again or react to the fight. Playing around your bot lane is definitely something you want to be thinking of doing right now. You've just had 2 successful ganks bot side, putting them ahead, and the enemy's tower is low. So recalling, spending your gold, and farming your raptors and Krugs while looking for a gank on the bottom lane is definitely what you want to be doing. With all that being said, when we were bot, we spotted Shaco ganking top, and this forces us into a change of plans. Again, when we spot the enemy jungler on the opposite side, this opens us up to invade their jungle. The best part of this is that while stealing the enemy's blue, you're in a perfect position to gank bottom lane if they overextend. And we can see that they are 100% overextended, pushed up to your tower. You want to immediately gank bot lane right now. Instead, you hesitate on it, missing your window. Luckily, Diana roams from mid, setting up a second successful tower dive on the enemy bot. You even do a great job maximizing your efficiency, stealing the rest of Shaco's camps while your bot lane finishes pushing out the waves. Okay, great, but it's been a long time since you've recalled, and you have a ton of gold to spend. You should be telling your bot lane to recall along with you so you can all reset and spend your gold. Then, your bot lane needs to swap with your top laner. This way, your bot lane can use their lead to gain more turret plates there, along with securing the Rift Herald, which is still alive on the top side of the map. However, we see you make a massive blunder, and not take this time to recall and spend your gold. I just want to fast forward to highlight how big of a mistake this actually is. You end up wasting a ton of time running around trying to fight. Keep in mind that even if you were to get a fight, you would be extremely weak since you haven't spent any of your gold. This actually culminates with over 2 minutes wasted, not getting anything done, and actually solo dying to the Vayne, who's the very champion we've set the furthest behind. It all started after you took the enemy's wolves and decided not to recall and spend your gold. After this, ignore the pointless teamfights, secure the Rift Herald, and get the plates top before they expire at the 14-minute mark. The faster that we do this, the better, since we can then all rotate to the bottom side of the map to take the dragon when it respawns. Alright, let's take this up to another level, this time with a replay from Diamond Elo with Vi facing Zac. Now, you start the game not using the ward trick, and you know if we just saw a Platinum player using it, then I'm going to be on your case as a Diamond player for not using it. You do eventually put a ward down, but this means Vi won't have a sweeping lens for her first gank. And this can honestly really suck, since you can end up wasting time trying to make ganks work even though it's warded, or setting yourself up to be counter ganked by the enemy jungler. So you choose to start at your blue. Again, we want to start on the opposite side that we want to influence. In top lane, we have Ornn against Akali. Akali is notoriously hard to gank due to her mobility and shroud, and Ornn is definitely the kind of champion you can leave to just play safe in the laning phase on scale. In bot lane, we have Jhin Pyke against Vayne Janna. Jhin and Pyke offer some great crowd control to set up ganks, so it was the correct choice for Vi to start at her blue, looking to path towards the bot lane. While she's taking her blue, we can see the enemy show bot early while top is missing. This indicates that the enemy Zac is getting a leash at his red. This is important since it means both junglers are starting on the same side of the map. This means they'll be pathing towards the bottom side together, and will likely clash over a gank on the bottom lane or over the scuttle. And this is where we first start to see the difference between a diamond player. Vi is aware that she's starting on the same side as the enemy jungler, so she does blue, Gromp, but then importantly skips her wolves and heads straight to her red. This is a great adjustment, as she'll still hit level 3 off of her red buff, but she will be on the bottom side of the map much faster than if she did her wolves along the way. This is a concept we taught you guys before. When starting on the same side as the enemy jungler, you're often in a race to the other side of the map. By skipping her wolves, this will allow Vi to get the first gank off if she so chooses, giving her the initiative. After taking red, you head towards bot lane, and I understand what you're thinking. Your bottom lane is pushed up, and you know Zac is pathing to the bottom side of the map. There's a very good chance Zac would look to gank bot lane, and you're setting up a counter gank on him. And I love that you're thinking this far ahead and aware of these concepts, but there's one problem, and it's that your timing is a little off. You have to keep in mind that you opened up with blue, Gromp into red. This is arguably the fastest level 3 in the game right now. You know that Zac started at his red, and Zac is well known for having good AoE, so he'll likely want to clear his Krugs and Raptors. Essentially, it's guaranteed that you did a faster route than Zac, so immediately pathing to your bottom lane to set up a counter gank is just too fast. Zac won't have finished his route by this time. Now, if we jump back to when you finished your red, like I said, you have the right idea. Your bot lane is pushed up, and you know Zac is pathing towards them. So you basically have two options. If you want to counter gank, then take your Krugs in the meantime. You don't even have to finish clearing the entire camp, just use it as a stalling move before you head bot lane to counter gank. Your other option is to actually invade Zac. You can leverage the fact that your bottom lane is pushed up, as this means they have lane priority, and you can use this to invade, scout for Zac, and get a better sense of the timing of his route. You'll be able to spot if he started as blue, had already taken it, or isn't on it yet. All of this would inform you of what his route would be. For example, if his blue is still alive, then it's likely Zac did red, Krugs, Raptors, and is now on his wolves or about to arrive at his blue. If Zac is on his blue, then he likely did red, Raptors, wolves, which you could confirm if he's still level 2. If his blue is already dead, then it means he likely did red into blue and either just finished killing his Gromp or is on his wolves. The point of this invade wouldn't necessarily be to kill Zac, as when we go back, we can see you don't have the lane priority in mid lane to really commit to something like that. Instead, it would be to act as a human ward, protecting your bot lane from a gank by spotting Zac, while simultaneously getting information on his route. You would continue to do this while waiting for the nearby scuttle to spawn. Both options are viable, but personally, I would have done my Krugs and then looked for the counter gank bot. It's just my playstyle to minimize risks, and I wouldn't feel comfortable enough invading, lacking lane priority mid, and with Renekton being the stronger early skirmisher than Lux. So the counter gank bot doesn't work out since your timing was off, so you head to the scuttle that spawned. And for whatever reason, a half health Zac that lacks lane priority in bot lane thinks it's a good idea to try and go for a 50-50 smite over the scuttle, hard committing with his E ability. You pick up the free kill, and with lane priority bot, Pyke rotates up, getting an easy follow-up kill on the Renekton. Afterwards, you move in to check his jungle, which I definitely approve of. Using the Scryer's Bloom checks the wolves, while you physically check the Gromp. This will inform you of what camp Zac has done. With the wolves and Gromp dead, you can now accurately predict that Zac will head to the top side of the map when he respawns. After this, you then take your Raptors, which is a nice in-between move. We can actually see that bottom lane is pushing towards us, so by taking the Raptors, we can wait for them to be in a more vulnerable position while not leaving the bottom side of the map. Once you've killed the Raptors, we can see the enemy bot is pushed up, and so you correctly choose to gank them. Unfortunately, you take a very questionable path. You definitely should have just swooped around them, cutting off their retreat. They were so pushed up that even if they had it warded, they wouldn't be able to react in time to get to their tower before you would be in range to land a Q. After the fail gank, you then move to take your Krugs. This makes sense. Remember, we want to be efficient with our time. The gank didn't work out, so let's take our nearby Krugs to get some golden experience without having to waste more time. One thing I did notice was that as you were heading back to your Krugs, that you could actually see the enemy Zac activate the Scryer's Bloom on the top side of the map. Your top laner is extremely vulnerable in this position. When you ganked bot, you showed that you were on the bottom side of the map. Zac would have seen your camps are alive top side with the Scryer's Bloom. There's a very good chance Zac will be playing to the top side of the map for a decent chunk of time. So you should be throwing down back pings on your top laner and letting him know that the jungler will be looking to gank him for the next minute or two. Keep in mind, laners won't know about this kind of stuff, so it's our job as junglers to let them know. We then see the predictable gank top hit, and so you decide to peel off the Krugs immediately and look to take the dragon. This is definitely the right call. You're looking for opportunities on the opposite side of the map as Zac. One small improvement though, I would have finished killing the ancient and medium Krug before you peeled off. This way, you would reset the camp, letting them respawn later at a higher level, being worth more experience. After taking the dragon, you can see Pyke is doing a great job with his lane priority, invading the enemy's jungle. Remember, earlier you checked the enemy's wolves and Gromp and saw they were dead. This also gave you the spawn timers on the camps. And with Zac showing on the top side of the map, we know they've respawned and are still alive. You definitely should be using the lane priority you have from Pyke to invade Zac's blue side jungle, looking to take his wolves and Gromp. After which, you can look to gank bottom lane if they're overextended. Otherwise recalling and looking to spend your gold. Instead, you react to a close fight mid lane. Unfortunately, Renekton is level 6, 2 levels ahead of you, and still has his ultimate. Additionally, since this is mid lane, this puts you within range of Zac, who's on the top side of the map, and reacts to the fight. I totally understand how you got baited into this fight, but keep in mind, you hadn't bought yet and you're 2 levels down. Again, try to remember what you're giving up when you go for plays like this. You could have stolen Zac's entire blue side jungle, which easily has the same value as a kill on Renekton, but with none of the risk. Alright, that's going to do it for this guide. If you'd like to see more content like this, where we review replays from players just like you across different ELO brackets, let us know in the comment section below. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and as always, good luck and have fun on Summoner's Rift.